The restaurant, L'Oiseau Bleu, was the epitome of elegance. Soft lights danced off crystal chandeliers, and the gentle hum of live jazz added a touch of magic to the night. Gabriel and I had chosen this place to celebrate our 10th wedding anniversary, a milestone that should have been filled with joy and warmth. Yet, an inexplicable sense of dread gnawed at me. Gabriel, impeccably dressed in a tailored suit, seemed perfectly at ease. He smiled at me from across the table, but there was a coldness in his eyes that I couldn't ignore. I tried to shake off the unease, attributing it to the stress of the past few weeks. "Isabella, you look stunning tonight," Gabriel said, his voice smooth as silk. He reached across the table to take my hand, his touch sending a shiver down my spine. "Thank you, Gabriel," I replied, forcing a smile. "This place is beautiful. I'm glad we came here." As the waiter approached with our first course, I glanced around the room, taking in the sight of other couples enjoying their evening. The ambience was perfect, yet I couldn't escape the feeling that something was terribly wrong. The waiter placed a plate of shrimp cocktail in front of me, and I immediately felt my stomach churn. I picked up my fork and took a hesitant bite, hoping the food would calm my nerves. Instead, a wave of nausea hit me almost instantly. "I think the shrimp is off," I said, setting my fork down. "It doesn't taste right." Gabriel's expression remained unchanged, but his eyes flickered with something I couldn't quite place. He raised his hand to summon the waiter. "Please bring her something else," he said, his voice firm but quiet. The waiter nodded and retreated, leaving us in an uncomfortable silence. I sipped my water, trying to steady myself, but the nausea only grew worse. A cold sweat broke out on my forehead, and I felt my vision blur. "Gabriel, I don't feel well," I whispered, my voice trembling. "Something's wrong." Gabriel leaned forward, his grip on my hand tightening. "We're here to enjoy ourselves, Isabella. Try to relax." Before I could respond, the room began to spin. I clutched the edge of the table, desperate to keep myself upright. Just when I thought I would pass out, a calm voice broke through the haze. "Excuse me, I'm a nursing intern. Can I help?" I turned to see a young woman with dark, curly hair and kind eyes standing beside our table. Her presence was a beacon of hope in the midst of my fear. "Please, I don't know what's happening to me," I managed to say, my voice weak. She knelt beside me, her gaze assessing. "My name is Ileana. I think you might be having a reaction to something. Do you have any allergies?" "No, I don't," I replied, shaking my head slightly. Ileana's eyes narrowed as she glanced at Gabriel, who remained disturbingly calm. "I need to get something from my bag. I'll be right back." She returned moments later with a small vial and a syringe. "This is an antidote my mother taught me to make. It's for certain toxins. I think you might have been poisoned." Gabriel's expression hardened. "What are you talking about? This is ridiculous." Ileana ignored him, focusing on me. "Isabella, I need you to trust me. This will help." I nodded, too weak to argue. Ileana administered the antidote, and within minutes, the nausea began to subside. The fog in my mind started to clear, and I could breathe easier. The ambulance arrived shortly after, and the paramedics quickly assessed my condition. Gabriel stayed close, but I could see the cracks in his facade. As I was lifted onto the stretcher, he leaned down, whispering in my ear, "Don't worry, everything will be fine." But his words felt like a threat rather than reassurance. As the ambulance doors closed, I caught Ileana's eye. Her determined expression gave me a glimmer of hope. Whatever was happening, I knew I wasn't alone. In the chaos of the hospital, Ileana stayed by my side, her presence a comforting anchor. "You're going to be okay, Isabella," she said softly. "We'll figure this out together." For the first time that night, I believed her. The road ahead was uncertain, but with Ileana's support, I felt a spark of courage ignite within me. Little did I know, this night would be the beginning of a journey that would change my life forever. The hospital room was sterile and cold, a stark contrast to the warmth of the restaurant where the nightmare had begun. I lay in bed, feeling weak but determined. The events of the previous night played over in my mind like a relentless film reel. Gabriel's cold demeanor, Ileana's urgent care, and the horrifying realization that someone had tried to poison me. As I stared at the ceiling, a gentle knock on the door interrupted my thoughts. "Isabella, it's Ileana. May I come in?" "Please, come in," I replied, grateful for the distraction. Ileana entered, her expression a mixture of concern and determination. "How are you feeling?" she asked, pulling up a chair beside my bed. "Better, thanks to you," I said, managing a weak smile. "But I'm still trying to make sense of everything. Why would someone do this to me?" Ileana took a deep breath, her eyes locking onto mine. "I believe Gabriel is behind this," she said, her voice steady but serious. I felt a pang in my chest, a mix of disbelief and betrayal. "Gabriel, why would he want to hurt me?" "I don't know all the details yet," Ileana admitted. "But I've seen cases like this before. Poisoning someone to gain control over their assets isn't unheard of. We need to gather evidence to prove it." My mind raced. The idea of Gabriel being capable of such a heinous act seemed unfathomable. But the more I thought about it, the more it made a terrible kind of sense. "Where do we start?" I asked, my voice trembling. Ileana's eyes softened. "First, we need to search your home for anything suspicious. I know it's a lot to ask, but do you trust me?" I nodded, feeling a sense of resolve. "Yes, I trust you. Let's find the truth." That evening, Ileana and I arrived at my home. The house felt different, eerie and hostile. Gabriel was at work, giving us the time we needed. We started in his study, the room he spent most of his time in. "Look for anything out of place," Ileana instructed as we began our search. We combed through the desk drawers, bookshelves, and filing cabinets. As I rifled through a stack of papers, my fingers brushed against something cold and metallic. I pulled it out, revealing a small vial filled with a clear liquid. "Ileana, look at this," I whispered, handing her the vial. Ileana examined it closely. "This could be it," she said, her voice low. "We need to get it tested." As we continued searching, Ileana's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and frowned. "Isabella, I think you should see this." She handed me her phone, and my heart sank as I read the text messages between Gabriel and someone named Julia. They discussed plans to ensure there was no trace of the poison, and their next move. Tears welled up in my eyes. "I can't believe this," I said, my voice breaking. "He's planning something else." Ileana put a comforting hand on my shoulder. "We're going to stop him. Let's gather all of this and go to the police." At the police station, we met with Inspector Martinez, a seasoned detective with a no-nonsense demeanor. We laid out the evidence, the vial, the text messages, and our suspicions. "Inspector, I believe my husband Gabriel tried to poison me," I said, my voice trembling but resolute. "And he's planning something else. We need your help." Inspector Martinez reviewed the evidence carefully. "This is compelling," he said, finally looking up. "We'll have the vial tested and investigate further. In the meantime, you need to stay somewhere safe." I nodded, feeling a mix of relief and anxiety. "Thank you, Inspector." As we left the station, Ileana turned to me. "You're doing great, Isabella. We're going to get through this." "I don't know what I'd do without you," I admitted, my voice thick with emotion. Ileana smiled, her eyes full of determination. "You don't have to do this alone. We're in this together." In that moment, I felt a renewed sense of strength. The journey ahead would be difficult, but with Ileana by my side, I knew we had a fighting chance. Little did I know, the days to come would test our resolve in ways we couldn't yet imagine. The courtroom was packed. The air was thick with anticipation, and the tension was palpable. As I sat beside Ileana, my hands clutched together in my lap, I couldn't help but feel the weight of every gaze upon me. Gabriel was across the room, his face a mask of calm arrogance. This was the moment where everything would be decided: my future, my safety, and my sanity. "Court is now in session," the bailiff announced, and everyone rose as the judge entered. Judge Reynolds, a stern-looking woman with sharp eyes, took her seat and called the case. "State of California versus Gabriel Moreno," she began, glancing over the courtroom. "Mr. Moreno is charged with attempted murder. Prosecution, you may begin." The prosecutor, Ms. Delgado, stood and addressed the jury. "Ladies and gentlemen, today you will hear a case of betrayal and greed. Gabriel Moreno attempted to murder his wife, Isabella, to gain control of her assets. We will present evidence proving his guilt beyond a reasonable doubt." Ms. Delgado began by calling me to the stand. My heart pounded as I walked to the witness box, swearing the oath to tell the truth. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. "Ms. Moreno, can you please describe the events of the night you fell ill?" Ms. Delgado asked. I recounted the dinner, the sudden nausea, and Ileana's intervention. "It was like nothing I'd ever experienced," I said, my voice steady. "I knew something was terribly wrong. Ileana saved my life that night." Ileana was called next. She described her background in nursing and her mother's knowledge of antidotes. She spoke clearly and confidently, detailing how she recognized the symptoms of poisoning and administered the antidote. "Ms. Silva," Ms. Delgado asked, "can you explain the significance of the vial you found in Mr. Moreno's study?" Ileana held up the vial. "This contains a toxin. It matches the symptoms Isabella experienced. When I saw the messages between Gabriel and Julia, it became clear he intended to harm her." The defense attorney, Mr. Harper, cross-examined Ileana. "Ms. Silva, isn't it possible you misinterpreted the symptoms? Couldn't it have been a simple allergic reaction?" Ileana shook her head. "No, the symptoms were consistent with poisoning. I've seen it before." Gabriel was then called to the stand. His demeanor was confident, even smug. He denied everything, claiming that the accusations were baseless and that he loved me. "I would never harm Isabella," he said, looking at the jury with feigned sincerity. "This is a misunderstanding, fueled by Ileana's overactive imagination and Isabella's stress." As the trial progressed, the evidence began to mount against Gabriel. The text messages, the vial, and testimonies painted a damning picture. Finally, it was time for closing arguments. Ms. Delgado stood, addressing the jury one last time. "Gabriel Moreno plotted to murder his wife for financial gain. The evidence is clear, and the motive is undeniable. We ask you to find him guilty of attempted murder." Mr. Harper, in his closing argument, tried to sound out, "There is no concrete proof that Gabriel poisoned Isabella. This entire case is built on speculation and coincidence. I urge you to consider the lack of definitive evidence." The jury was dismissed to deliberate. The hours dragged on, each minute feeling like an eternity. I sat with Ileana, trying to stay calm. "Whatever happens, we did our best," she said, squeezing my hand. "You were brave, Isabella." Finally, the jury returned. My heart raced as we stood to hear the verdict. The foreperson stood, a solemn expression on her face. "We, the jury, find the defendant, Gabriel Moreno, guilty of attempted murder." A collective sigh of relief swept through our side of the courtroom. Gabriel's face fell, his arrogance replaced by shock and fear. As he was led away in handcuffs, he turned to me, his eyes full of venom. "This isn't over, Isabella," he hissed. "You'll regret this." I turned away, feeling a mix of triumph and sorrow. The judge dismissed us, and Ileana hugged me tightly. "You did it, Isabella. He can't hurt you anymore." As we left the courthouse, the weight of the trial began to lift. Gabriel was behind bars, and I was free to start anew. But the journey was far from over. Ileana and I had a vision for the future, a mission to help others who had suffered like I had. This is just the beginning, I said, looking at Ileana. We have so much work to do. She smiled, her eyes filled with determination. Together, we can do anything. With Gabriel out of the picture, we set our sights on building something extraordinary, a haven for those in need. Little did we know, our greatest challenges and triumphs were yet to come. The sun was beginning to set as Ileana and I walked through the old, abandoned building we had chosen for Tranquil Haven. The place was a mess. Peeling paint, broken windows, and floors covered in dust and debris. But in its bones, we saw the potential for something beautiful, a sanctuary for women who needed a safe place to start over. "We've got our work cut out for us," Ileana said, her voice echoing in the empty hallways. I nodded, feeling both daunted and excited by the challenge ahead. It's going to be amazing once we're done. A true haven. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of activity. We secured funding through donations and grants, rallied volunteers from the community, and hired a team of dedicated staff. Every day, the building transformed a little more. Walls were repaired and painted in soothing colors, new windows let in light and fresh air, and rooms were furnished to create a warm, welcoming environment. One afternoon, as we were finalizing the layout for the common areas, Ileana turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "You know, Isabella, I've been thinking about how we can make this place not just a shelter, but a real community." "What do you mean?" I asked, curious. "Well, it's important that the women here feel empowered and supported, not just safe. What if we offer workshops and classes, skills training, therapy sessions, even activities like yoga or art to help them heal and grow?" I smiled, feeling the surge of pride and admiration for Ileana. "That's a brilliant idea. We can create a program that addresses all aspects of their well-being." Together, we mapped out a comprehensive plan for Tranquil Haven. We reached out to local professionals, therapists, counselors, teachers, who were more than willing to volunteer their time and expertise. The response from the community was overwhelming, and before long we had a full schedule of activities and services ready for our residents. The grand opening of Tranquil Haven was a momentous occasion. Friends, supporters, and community members gathered to celebrate the birth of our sanctuary. I stood at the podium, looking out at the sea of faces, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement. "Welcome, everyone," I began, my voice steady. "Today marks the beginning of a new chapter for so many women. Tranquil Haven is more than just a shelter. It's a place of healing, growth, and hope. None of this would be possible without the incredible support from all of you. Thank you." The crowd erupted in applause, and I felt tears of gratitude welling up in my eyes. Ileana joined me at the podium, her presence a source of strength. "We couldn't have done this alone," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "Tranquil Haven is a testament to what we can achieve when we come together. Every woman who walks through these doors will know that she is not alone, that she has a community behind her." After the speeches, we gave tours of the facility. The common room buzzed with conversations and laughter. The kitchen smelled of freshly baked cookies, and the bedrooms, each personalized with thoughtful touches, awaited their first occupants. It was everything we had dreamed of and more. Later that evening, as the celebration wound down, Ileana and I sat in the garden, the last light of day casting a golden glow over the space. It was a moment of quiet reflection amidst the whirlwind of activity. "We did it," I said softly, still marveling at the transformation. Ileana smiled, her eyes shining with pride. "Yes, we did. And this is just the beginning. Tranquil Haven will be a place of hope and new beginnings for so many." We sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching as the stars began to appear in the sky. I felt a deep sense of fulfillment and purpose. The journey had been difficult, and there were undoubtedly more challenges ahead, but together, Ileana and I had created something truly special. "Here's to the future," I said, raising an imaginary glass. Ileana laughed and mimicked the gesture. "To the future, and to all the lives we'll touch." As we sat there, I knew that Tranquil Haven would be a beacon of light for those in darkness, a testament to the power of resilience and community, and I was ready to face whatever came next, with Ileana by my side, and our mission clear in my heart. The initial success of Tranquil Haven filled us with hope and determination. The shelter was thriving, and every day, women arrived seeking refuge, support, and a fresh start. Ileana and I poured our hearts into making sure each woman felt safe and valued. The bond among our team grew stronger, and the community's support never wavered. One afternoon, as I reviewed the shelter's finances in my office, a knock on the door interrupted my concentration. It was Anna, a former colleague from my previous job who had recently joined our team. "Isabella, do you have a moment?" she asked, her voice hesitant. "Of course, come in," I replied, motioning for her to take a seat. Anna sat down, looking a bit uneasy. "I've been thinking about some ideas to improve our outreach programs. I wanted to discuss them with you." I smiled, appreciating her initiative. "I'd love to hear your thoughts. We're always looking for ways to expand and improve." As Anna laid out her ideas, I noticed a flicker of something in her eyes, a shadow of doubt, perhaps. I brushed it off, focusing on the potential benefits her suggestions could bring. But that shadow would soon reveal a deeper, darker truth. Days turned into weeks, and subtle disturbances began to surface. Documents went missing, equipment malfunctioned, and there were misunderstandings among the staff. Ileana and I couldn't pinpoint the cause, but we felt a growing sense of unease. One evening, Ileana approached me with a worried expression. "Isabella, I think something's wrong. Too many things are going awry, and it's starting to feel intentional." I frowned, the unease settling deeper. "Do you think someone is sabotaging us?" Ileana nodded slowly. "It's a possibility we can't ignore. We need to be vigilant." Determined to uncover the truth, we began monitoring the shelter more closely. Our efforts soon paid off when Ileana stumbled upon a series of suspicious emails while reviewing staff communications. The emails were between Anna and someone using a pseudonym, but the content was unmistakably incriminating. "Ileana, you need to see this," she said, her voice trembling as she handed me the printed emails. I read through them, my heart sinking. Anna and her mysterious correspondent were discussing plans to disrupt our operations, making explicit references to sabotaging Tranquil Haven. Who could be behind this? I asked, anger and betrayal mingling in my voice. Ileana's expression hardened. "There's only one person who stands to gain from our failure: Gabriel." We decided to confront Anna the next day. As the sun set, casting long shadows over the shelter, Ileana and I met with Anna in my office. "Anna, we need to talk," I began, trying to keep my voice steady. "We've discovered some disturbing information." Anna's eyes widened, and she glanced nervously between us. "What are you talking about?" Ileana stepped forward, holding up the printed emails. "We found these. You've been communicating with someone about sabotaging Tranquil Haven. Why?" Anna's facade crumbled, and she looked down, shame and fear etched on her face. I didn't have a choice. Gabriel threatened me. He said he'd ruin me if I didn't help him." The revelation hit me like a punch to the gut. "Why didn't you come to us, Anna? We could have protected you." Tears welled up in her eyes. I was scared. He's powerful and manipulative. I thought if I did what he asked, he'd leave me alone. Ileana placed a reassuring hand on Anna's shoulder. "We understand, but you have to help us now. We need to stop him." Anna nodded, her resolve strengthening. "I'll do whatever it takes. I'm so sorry for what I've done." With Anna's cooperation, we gathered concrete evidence of Gabriel's involvement. We contacted the police, who launched an investigation. Gabriel's web of deceit and manipulation began to unravel, and his accomplices were apprehended one by one. As the police escorted Gabriel away, he glared at me, his eyes filled with venom. "This isn't over, Isabella. I'll find a way to make you pay." I met his gaze with unwavering resolve. "You're finished, Gabriel. You won't hurt anyone else." The community rallied around us, offering support and solidarity. The betrayal had shaken us, but it also strengthened our resolve. We implemented stricter security measures and continued to foster a culture of trust and transparency. One evening, as we sat in the garden, reflecting on the tumultuous events, Ileana turned to me with a determined look. "We've faced our darkest fears and come out stronger. Tranquil Haven will continue to be a beacon of hope." I nodded, feeling a deep sense of gratitude and purpose. Together, we've built something extraordinary. No one can take that away from us. Ileana smiled, her eyes shining with pride. "And we'll keep fighting for every woman who needs us." As the stars twinkled above, I felt a profound sense of peace. We had triumphed over betrayal, and our mission was clearer than ever. Tranquil Haven was not just a shelter. It was a testament to resilience, courage, and the unbreakable bonds of solidarity. The air was crisp and filled with the scent of blooming flowers as I walked through the garden of Tranquil Haven. The sun was just beginning to rise, casting a golden glow over the shelter, symbolizing a new beginning for all of us. The events of the past months had been tumultuous, but they had also solidified our mission and strengthened our resolve. Tranquil Haven was thriving, and the women here were beginning to rebuild their lives. As I entered the common room, I was greeted by the cheerful chatter of women participating in a morning yoga session. Ileana was at the front, guiding them through the poses with her calm and reassuring voice. She noticed me and gave a warm smile, finishing the session before walking over. "Good morning, Isabella," she said, wiping a bead of sweat from her forehead. "How are you feeling today?" I returned her smile. "I'm feeling hopeful, Ileana. Every day, I see the progress these women are making, and it fills me with pride." Ileana nodded, her eyes reflecting the same sense of purpose. "We've come a long way. Tranquil Haven is more than a shelter now. It's a community, a family." We walked to the kitchen where breakfast was being served. The aroma of freshly baked bread and brewed coffee filled the room. Women were sitting together, sharing stories and laughter. It was a stark contrast to the fear and uncertainty that had once pervaded this place. As we joined the table, one of the women, Maria, turned to us with a grateful smile. "Thank you both for everything. I don't know where I'd be without Tranquil Haven." Ileana reached out and squeezed Maria's hand. "You're strong, Maria. You've made incredible progress, and we're here to support you every step of the way." Maria's eyes welled up with tears, but they were tears of joy and gratitude. "This place has given me hope again. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I can see a future for myself and my children." Later that day, as we reviewed the plans for an upcoming fundraiser, a familiar face walked through the door. Daniel, a generous donor who had supported us from the beginning. His presence always brought a sense of reassurance. "Hello, Isabella," he said, his warm smile reaching his eyes. "Ileana, it's good to see you both. How are things progressing?" I shook his hand, feeling the surge of gratitude. "Daniel, thank you for coming. Things are going well. We're planning a big fundraiser to expand our outreach programs." Daniel's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "I'd love to help. This place is a beacon of hope, and I want to do everything I can to support it." As we discussed the details, Ileana excused herself to attend to another matter. Daniel and I continued to talk, and I felt a connection growing between us. His kindness and dedication to our cause were truly inspiring. "Isabella," he said, his tone becoming more personal, "I've seen how much you've given to Tranquil Haven. Your strength and compassion are incredible. I'd like to get to know you better, outside of our work here. Would you have dinner with me sometime?" I felt a warmth spread through me at his words. "I'd like that, Daniel. Thank you." The evening of the fundraiser arrived, and the community center was bustling with activity. The hall was elegantly decorated, and the atmosphere was filled with anticipation and hope. Friends, supporters, and new faces filled the place, eager to contribute to our mission. Eliana took the stage first, addressing the crowd with her usual grace and poise. Thank you all for being here tonight. Tranquil Haven has come a long way, and it's all thanks to the incredible support of this community. Together, we're making a difference. As she spoke, I scanned the room, feeling the deep sense of pride and accomplishment. When it was my turn, I stepped up to the microphone, my heart pounding with a mix of nerves and excitement. Welcome, everyone, I began. Tonight is about more than raising funds. It's about celebrating resilience, courage, and community. Tranquil Haven is not just a shelter. It's a place where women can find hope and rebuild their lives. And none of this would be possible without each and every one of you. The applause that followed was thunderous, and I felt tears of joy welling up. After the speeches, the evening was filled with music, laughter, and heartfelt conversations. Daniel found me in the crowd, and we shared a quiet moment together, away from the bustle. I'm so proud of what you've accomplished, Isabella, he said softly. You've created something truly special here. I smiled, feeling the weight of the past lifting from my shoulders. We've all done this together. Tranquil Haven is a testament to the strength and kindness of this community. As the night drew to a close, I felt a sense of peace and fulfillment. We had faced our darkest fears and emerged stronger. Tranquil Haven was a beacon of hope, and the future looked brighter than ever. Eliana joined me and Daniel, her eyes shining with happiness. This is just the beginning. We have so much more to do, but I know we can achieve it together. I nodded, feeling the truth of her words deep in my heart. A new dawn is here, Eliana, and it's going to be beautiful. As we stood there, united by our shared purpose and dreams, I knew that Tranquil Haven would continue to be a place of healing, hope, and new beginnings. And with Eliana, Daniel, and the incredible community by my side, there was nothing we couldn't overcome.